Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. In a first, is this a first?
This is the second.
I don't know.
This is the second.
Oh,
Nick
in a
and Drew
second
EV.
time, no EV owners are on the show.
Wow.
That's right, ladies
Man.
and gentlemen. The Model 3 owner had to take a break because he ran out of battery on the highway. He couldn't make it home.
He had to rescue some people. He knew some people who were gas car people, and they ran out of gas on the side of the road.
to rescue
so
them.
he went out in his EV with a tank of gas to rescue them. He's being a white knight.
He's doing his best. That's what Randy's doing. But hey, Nick, guess who is not included in the S&P 500?
Nicola.
That's exactly who I was thinking of.
Wow.
And guess who probably never will be in the S&P 500?
Elon.
Yeah. I don't get it. They added 3 new companies to the S&P 500 yesterday at the time of recording this.
Okay. I haven't actually even seen this news, so let me pull this up.
Oh, okay. Look it up. Look it up. I'll send you an article if you want.
Yeah, please
but
do.
The 3 of them combined are worth 1/9 of what Tesla is worth.
What?
Which a lot of people are confused about because, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe S&P 500 is supposed to represent the 500 largest,
Yeah.
U.S. companies.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what I've always taken it to mean.
What is the 500 for if it's not for the...
Exactly. It's
But I mean,
500
there's
of
certain
whoever's-
requirements.
Yeah. It might be too
But
volatile.
the
I
requirements-
think they might have some like volatility constraints in there too, but I'm not an expert on the S&P, so...
That was my wife's theory. But it's definitely not something written in their guidelines or their requirements. They've never been like volatile stocks can't be in the S&P. Pretty much the eligibility requirements
Etsy?
require.
Oh my gosh. They added Etsy, but not Tesla. Etsy.
Well, yeah,
the
I mean-
place for soccer moms. No offense meant to our 2 soccer moms in the audience here. They made
Right.
Etsy,
There's a lot of
the
Model
place
Y
for soccer
owners out
moms
there.
to make bead bracelets to the S&P 500, but not Tesla. The people who are driving our future. That's funny. Also slightly offensive.
Yeah, I mean, the requirements are basically consecutive quarterly profit, which they've achieved, and high revenue relative to the rest of the United States, which they've definitely achieved. So it's very bizarre. A lot of people don't really have... I mean, S&P did not provide a strict reason. But yeah, I think a lot of people were confused by that. So, including
Tesla
me,
is worth
I don't
9 times
understand.
more than the 3 new companies being added to the index included.
Combined.
Yeah.
If you took the 3 being added,
Oh,
combine them, times it by 9. That's Tesla. So, yeah, it's very confusing. I guess they just think they're overvalued or something. Is that what it is?
they were a little
think
overvalued.
they're worth more.
That's why I made last week. I need to make sure to rub this in everyone's faces. Last week I predicted that they were going to hit 420 again.
Go ahead.
And
I was wrong, Nick.
and they
You were
did
right.
hit 420 again. So I
You
thought they
now
were a
win
little
Tesla
overvalued,
for being right.
but not 10% overvalued. So the $50 drop was a little surprising to me. And I think if you actually go back and watch the clip, I said they'd split, so I wasn't being a bear on Tesla. But
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well, there was a capital raise. Did you hear about that?
from Tesla. Did they do another one?
Yeah, they did
Oh.
a $5 billion.
$5 billion. Oh, nice.
capital
Did they
raise.
actually go through that? Oh, so I've been out of the loop with
think-
the entire world.
Okay.
So
I know you've
thank
been
you for
working
catching
all
me
week,
up.
but I think if I remember correctly, capital raises can dilute the stock price a little bit,
Yeah.
which is why a lot of people were selling because of that capital
Yeah.
raise. But anyone who knows why they did it probably understands that this is good for Tesla.
They just got a free $5 billion.
dollars.
I mean, they had to give out some treasury stock for it, but wow.
Sure. Well, I'm glad. I mean, this means they get to invest it into gigafactories, which are growing quickly and expanding. So, I mean, I totally get why they did it, but I think a lot of people panicked because, I mean, it's actually not been just Tesla. A lot of the market has been dipping in the last few days in general. Tesla is part of it, but yeah, everyone was down for a time. And I think there's a lot of, because of the stock split, you probably have a ton of new people. You probably had a bunch of younger investors that were buying in, and they're like, wait a minute, it went down. I better sell right now. You know, people that aren't really too
That is part of the problem when you split the stock.
Buy and hold.
Yeah, when you split the stock, it kind of changes the demographics of people who buy your stock. Because, if you're going to go buy...
There's pros and cons to that.
If you're going to go buy Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, you're looking at, what, $1,300 for Class B voting shares, and that's your stable investment types. Like, I'm not going to go buy Berkshire Hathaway because I'm not a huge fan of slow, continual growth at the moment. Maybe when I get older and I'm like, okay,
sure.
we need smooth trajectories because I've built up some wealth. But here I know
You're
and
young.
believe Tesla, so I am all focused on Tesla's vision for the future, and lots of people aren't. And so, I don't know. It changes up the demographics, I guess. Like, because now people like me who probably didn't have $1,200 to go stick in at, just... When you put money into the stock market, you kind of just need to emotionally detach yourself from it. Like, it needs to become
very important.
It's now just fun money that it's just sitting there, and it might disappear one day, and it's not going to wreck my life if it just disappears, because you need to have like a retirement account that's not totally dependent on that. You need some savings, you need some emergency funds. You need to not be paycheck to paycheck, basically, to be able to.
No one should be dumping their whole net worth into the individual stocks.
Exactly, and so when a stock goes from 1,200 to 400 because of a split, that enables a whole nother range of people who might not have been able to justify $1,200, who could now justify
the Robin Hood investor, as it's called.
Exactly, the Robin Hood people, who buy one or two shares and have little to no investing experience. And it's not like I'm saying you need a lot of experience to invest. You totally don't. Anyone can do it super easy.
No.
But what I'm saying is you have to go in with the right mindset. And a lot of these people weren't coming in with the right mindset, I'd imagine. And so they're like, oh no, it's tanking. Get out before it falls. Because it is a little nerve-wracking. When you have your skin in the game and it's your money, you're like, oh boy, well, I should have bought it later. But you can't play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game in the stock market. You'll never win that game.
Of course. No.
Anyway.
Because everyone...
Otherwise,
if everyone knew what was going to happen
in 2010 and gave that guy his 2 pizzas.
Yeah. If everyone knew what was going to happen, there wouldn't need to be index funds or retirement accounts. Everyone would just buy exactly what was going to take off. But we don't know. That's the truth. But it's funny to see that there's still so many people that are convinced Tesla can't be profitable because they recognized, EV credits and stuff like that, and that's the only way they can be profitable. It's like, I don't understand how many times you have to explain to someone that, like, if you can utilize those credits, then you're going to spend your money differently in the company. You're going to, if I gave you $1,000.
Are you talking about the consumer credits or the credits that GM or the other companies are buying?
Yeah, the ones GM, the ones they sell. People are saying they're only profitable because they sell those credits. It's like, if they didn't have those credits, they probably wouldn't be buying up billion-dollar factories and plots of land and investing into construction. They would just focus on assuring the profit first and then invest later. But because they have those credits, obviously they use them. Why wouldn't you use them? Also, they're not exclusive. Like, it's not like only Tesla gets those. Like, anybody can get those credits if you make
an EVs
and sell them. It's not an unfair advantage to me, and I think quarter 3 and quarter 4 of this year are really going to shut up those arguments, because with Fremont being open for the whole quarter now and the ramp of Giga Shanghai, it's going to be pretty difficult to be like, well, it's only those credits. It's like, oh, well, now they're extremely profitable, and even without the credits, they're turning a profit. But yeah, I don't know. There's still a lot of people that are betting on them failing, and it's funny to me that that's still happening now, even after they've proven so much and achieved so much. It's crazy.
Yeah, but even now that they're 9 times more valuable than the 3 new S&P 500 companies, like, yeah.
I
That's
don't get it.
pretty
But
funny. So where do you think
I guess they are volatile.
where do you think Tesla's next market lies? Like Cybertruck, okay, that's going to do well, but
It's a big market.
it's the Model 2. I mean, from my perspective right now, I really want solar. Like I've kind of been on this little kick here. Like the grid isn't super reliable in my area, and so I've been like, we need to get some kind of solar, but it's expensive. And even Tesla's new lower prices are still pretty pricey. $1,600 is. I'm sorry, $16,000 is nothing to to get confused with $1,600.
Yeah, buying solar is all about longevity.
Longevity, and
it all comes down
life.
to how long you plan on being there and when you break even. That's the whole solar debate.
Yeah. But I think that's a pretty big market for them. But what is Tesla going to be like in 5 years? Because as Apple says, they have to be the company to kill the iPhone. They had to be the company to kill the iPod. They had to be the company to kill the iMac. Tesla needs to be the company to kill Model 3 and Model Y sales. And what is that market going to be? And I think
it's
there's a big potential for it to be solar.
I don't think solar will kill off vehicles, but
I'm
pretty sure the energy,
the margin percentages. Yeah, Tesla Energy will do better than Tesla vehicles.
Well, that's an interesting idea. I mean, there's a chance there. Elon has said he expects the energy business to grow about the size of the vehicle business, which it hasn't yet, but I could see that as they work on scaling production and stuff like that. If you're asking what is going to kill the sales of the Model 3 and Y, I think their theory is robotaxis. Their guess is that autonomous driving and vehicles working as autonomous Uber drivers is eventually going to make car ownership pointless for more and more people from a financial perspective. And in the cities, I would agree. Outside of highly populated areas, I don't agree. I think car ownership is a very big thing in the U.S. and probably would be even if it financially made more sense to take an autonomous vehicle. There's still a lot of people that just want their car and they want it in their house, in their garage. So I don't think in the rural areas that the Cybertruck fan base, for existence, is not the same audience of people that would be okay just robo-taxiing a Cybertruck occasionally. No, they're going to want their truck that no one else uses and it's just for them. But when it comes for the next market, I think they can continue to grow energy business. Or if you're thinking of like next vehicle market, there was actually an investor on, I forget who it was. I think it was on CNBC News or something like that was talking about what Tesla is planning for India. Because India is a very, very large market, but very different. It's not the same as China or the U.S. or Europe, where it's like,
I don't think autopilot
how
would
many
work in
SUV.
India.
No, I mean, bigger problem than just autopilot.
Traffic.
More so like more people buy motorcycles and two-wheeled vehicles than cars. Car ownership isn't really super popular there, more so than people buying little mini vehicles, more like the... what's the term? Arcimoto, type thing, or the motorcycle-sized EVs that are kind of like cars, but they're not really, the 4-door, 5-seater cabins that we're used to in the U.S. Those do really well here, but in India, there's a lot of potential for, it's a very populated country, obviously. So there's a huge market there, and Tesla's vehicles alone have yet to come in, and also there's a huge import tariff if you don't build your tech or your vehicles in India. Apple. So that's why, you have to kind of build a factory or presence up in India. So I think something we might be talking a lot more about in the next 5 years is how Tesla plans to adapt or adopt their business model because I think solar could be really popular in India. The energy business with... from what I've read, there's a lot of potential for that, and generators and unreliable grids and adding more renewable energy there. Just because emissions with that many people are terrible, the air quality and the amount of... so that's Tesla's goal, right, to reduce that. So tackling that market with the energy business and actually building batteries and solar there so they don't have the import tariffs, and also working on some type of, I know Elon says he doesn't like motorcycles because he got in an accident with one once, so he's against them for safety reasons. But the truth is,
a motorcycle.
Yeah,
but
the truth is,
a moped
if you just
or one of those quad peds, but
right, or like a 3-wheel, some kind of super efficient, like the Arcimoto
with a 5-star safety rating
thing. So yeah, somehow make it safe. But if you just came to India with a Gigafactory and tried to sell them the Model 3.
That Mars
it wouldn't
rover
go over well.
that landed on Mars and just did big airbags, just rolled around on the surface for 5 minutes, slowing down.
Pretty much.
That would be Tesla's.
Maybe if they found,
and just turns into a big cushion of airbags.
Right. They would have to come up with some kind of very different products for that market. You couldn't just bring the Model 3 there and be like, "Great, everyone buy the Model 3." Everyone would be like, We don't do that here. That's not what happens. So yeah, I think that might be an interesting market for them to tackle. Obviously, it's not one I get to really be a part of, but that's a huge portion of the world. That's a huge market. So I think we could be looking at Tesla investing heavily into it in the next 5 years. I think whenever you talk to Elon now about future products or what they're working on down the road, he's pretty closed on it currently. Mm-hmm. He seems to be pretty we need to just get the products we've announced up to production and focus on that, which I agree is smart. But I think he's alluded to doing a more compact vehicle and a van. He said we'll do the obvious, the things people expect us to do, we'll eventually do. But it makes sense for them to prioritize the currently announced products because they've got a solid lineup of announced stuff. And it's just a matter now of scaling it and mass producing it. And that's probably what we're going to be looking at for the next year or two, is just lots of drone footage of muddy fields and prefabricated equipment going up. And did you catch he was in Berlin?
Oh, I saw that. Looks like he had quite the party, like Elon.
Yeah, he was all dressing up for it. He likes Germany.
I mean, Germany seems to like him, so.
Mm-hmm. They appreciate it, and it's all for the greater good of less emissions and lowering prices there. But I also think the European market is a lot more competitive for Tesla than the U.S. There's a lot more competition going up against them. So making a more affordable, compact hatchback of some kind for Europe, I think, is going to be more crucial than it would be in the U.S. Because in Europe, at least, Tesla is not the best seller in the EV sector.
Okay, I had a failure on one of my lights, so I was very preoccupied with that.
I was wondering.
Oh, well.
I was wondering what happened.
I couldn't just fix that.
But
I could just fix it. But yeah.
What do you think?
Well, about Berlin?
The next stage. Or
Berlin's the next stage.
Or the Model 2 or whatever.
Obviously. And I'm excited to see whatever, Model 2 they come out of the China design studio. That'll be pretty fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking outside of vehicles, still electric powertrains and batteries. Fundamentally, that's what Tesla's gotten good at, making mass-produced energy. Yeah, some sort of electrical energy. Just like in 1998, everyone thought Apple was a computer company. They made computers.
Right.
And then in 2001, they came out with the iPod. And they worked together. The iPod needed a computer, and they both had circuit boards and batteries and screens. But
sure,
fundamentally, the iPod was something more personal and more portable. So entered a different product category. And then again with the iPhone and the iPad and Apple Watch. I wonder when Tesla's going to come to that point, when they are in need of branching out from vehicles, what that will be. And I'm not saying their vehicle lines are going to fail. I mean, we still have desktop Macs, so those haven't gone anywhere.
Of course.
But I'm just thinking of growth potential. Yeah, 5-10 years down the road, once we have the third gen, Tesla minivan and the Cyber RV and the all the Tesla things. What's going to be that next market for them to conquer? And I think Tesla Energy Solar is the obvious candidate, but I am very curious to see what Elon has up his sleeves. He's talked about airplanes. I think that's like personal, like,
that is interesting.
If there's anyone who can finally deliver on the promise of flying cars, it's Elon Musk. If they can get battery density good enough and they can, make an efficient, lightweight, small airplane that practically flies itself, similar to a drone, and you just tell it where to go, and it just flies there and does all the hard work for you. Like, I could see that being a huge next market, and that still fits in with their transportation, battery storage, electric energy,
transport, sustainable transport.
Exactly, yeah, and yeah, what was Iron Man 1 or 2 or whatever, where Elon Musk had the cameo and he's like, "Hey, I got an electric jet engine idea to show you," and I'm like, I really want that to be a thing, just so we can say
it would make that movie so hilarious to know that in 2011 or 10 or whenever that movie came out, that he gave an Easter egg for a product that was going to come out like 20 years later or something. Like, that would be kind of amazing. But he did say on Twitter that that there was some long thread someone went on about Battery Day, which is so close. We're almost there. It's this month. I'm so excited. But anyway, he said that a way to build a 400 watt hour per kilogram battery would be possible, not just in a lab, but at scale within the next 3 to 4 years, and said that energy density that we're looking for of like per watt hours per kilogram of around 400 to 500, that's when an electric plane starts to make sense, is when you can get energy that dense for that weight. And Elon's claiming, maybe it's a Battery Day sneak peek, but he's claiming they can hit that energy density in the foreseeable future, which could mean, I don't know, it's pretty out there, but could mean an electric, I don't know if it'd be considered a jet.
No, it would be some kind of turboprop competitor, like a Cessna.
It'd basically be a glorified DJI drone, that carries people instead of cameras in a way. But
from experience flying,
he's talked about it.
Yeah. From experience flying the drone, I don't know if I trust myself on a quad motor style flight platform. I much prefer fixed wing, mostly because fixed wing, you can get some altitude and you have time to deal with emergencies that come up. Boeing 737, if both the engines go out for some reason, it has a glide slope of like 1,000 to 1 or something like that. So it glides fairly well. Most planes do. And I think for the personal, the personal, like right now, commercial aviation is much safer than driving, right? Like hopping on an airplane run by professional pilots, run by an airline, it's like,
because the risk is much higher.
600 times higher than driving, safer than driving, or something like that. Like crazy factors.
There's more guidelines. There's more checks because the risk is higher. So
exactly. It'll make the news if 50 people go down in a tube. But private aviation is a little more dangerous. I mean, it's not overly dangerous, but especially single pilot. A pilot who got his solo license is out in a Cessna, gets stuck in some weather that he can't deal with, and unfortunate things happen, and he makes local news. That's sad. And Tesla, just think of how much coverage a single Tesla car fire gets compared to how little coverage your standard car fire gets. Like, your standard car fire literally gets no coverage, not even on local news. Like, even if it's a big stopped up the rush hour freeway.
It's just a thing. It's just a thing that happens.
Car caught on fire. But a Tesla caught on fire. The lithium-ion battery. Right. See, we told you. Imagine how bad that's going to be if something bad happens in one of these cars, which it will happen. A flying vehicle that Tesla makes, it will happen. Just like no one's ever designed anything that's perfectly safe. I mean, people die in Teslas regularly, and it's sad, but it's just a fact of life. I mean, we accept that risk. We as a society have accepted that risk level, and I think Tesla's not going to be able to break into the single motor aviation market or whatever, the private aviation market, until they are able to increase the safety margin substantially. And I think a lot of that will be through software and AI. So, pilotless type flying, at certain altitudes or whatever, that'll definitely help. And then I think a fixed wing is also pretty important, because right now, my little drone, my little quadpropter. That doesn't sound right. Anyway,
I know what it is.
My little quad drone.
I didn't mean exactly the same as that drone. I just mean in the sense of it's a battery thing that flies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But
I've
yeah, thought about
obviously
this.
a way for fail safes to be put in place so that you can glide down if you need to. I think is the point. The way I've seen Elon describe it in podcasts and interviews is he wants it to be vertical takeoff and landing, and the idea is you have least resistance the higher you are, which means that if you cruise at around 80,000 feet, you require very little energy to go great distances, and then you can just drop down at your landing pad. So that would obviously require some type of fixed wing. It wouldn't be just a quadcopter that would go up 80,000 feet. But he wants it to be VTOL, wants it to be vertical up and down, which means that either the wings fold in or do something, or but I'm sure he's got good ideas based on his track record of rockets and cars. He has a tendency to go after the impossible. So that one sounds fairly interesting, though, because there's not a whole lot of technical issues once you solve the battery problem.
Yeah.
Once you solve the energy density problem, which it sounds like they're on track to eventually, it could make a lot of sense. He says he doesn't want to do it because his mind will explode and he's too busy. Maybe he's got to figure out Neuralink first, and then he'll work on
then he can just tap into someone else's
electric
brain.
Aircraft. But
that would be kind of funny.
I mean, there's
With
nothing
Neuralink,
in.
If you had a Neuralink, and to go back on this topic, could you lease out your mind while you're sleeping, like your hardware?
Oh, God. I would so not. Ever.
I would never do that. But
I'm gonna mine crypto with my brain. Oh God, no. Yeah, but no, there's nothing in Tesla's vision that prevents them from making planes if they want to, which is kind of exciting to imagine. It'd be interesting.
I'm all for that.
I mean, Elon uses a private jet on the regular. He probably hates it.
He said that he lives in it. Like when he sold his house, he's like, I'm selling everything except for my jet. And I'm just like, that jet is so nice. I can imagine. I wouldn't want to sell my jet either.
Well, he needs it. I mean, he goes all over the place constantly.
Lives in
so
three different
it's kind
states
of a work
all at once. Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes to Germany for a day, and then he goes to Shanghai, and then he goes to Texas and California, and he goes he needs that thing. So I get it, but I bet he would feel a lot happier if he could build an aircraft that would take him around everywhere, supercharge it.
Super mega charge
It'd be
it.
Fascinating.
Ooh, that's a term. I better copy.
Do you think? I don't remember if we've covered this yet, but Battery Day is really close now.
It is,
and I'm curious if you think that there's going to be some type of immediate changes to the lineup at Battery Day, or do you think that it's mostly just announcing roadmaps of in the next 4 to 5 years, this is what we'll do?
I think there's already some minor changes that have been implemented and are already shipping that we just don't know about.
Okay.
Possibly that new anode or whatever chemistry or something, but not the 100,000 or million mile battery pack. Got my orders of magnitude off. So I would imagine there's something small that's already shipping that they'll be like, hey, this is already shipping. But the really exciting thing is coming in 2 years, and then launch into the full million mile battery pack, or however many years it is. Technology behind it, and the way it works, the chemistry, why that's different than Nikola. I just said that word, and now I got sidetracked. See, every time I say it, it sounds like my name, Nikola. and I'm always like,
Nick.
oh wait, I hate them.
Yeah. Oh wait. And it's so disrespectful to the actual guy who
I know.
is named Nicola. It's sad.
I was named after
They're not
Nicola.
honoring that man properly.
My
Dang it.
name is Nicola Ann Sweeney.
They're really milking that guy's name now. And there's still people who don't
I
know
wonder
who
what
he
his
is.
middle name was. I
I
better
did
start
my-
a company that's his middle name here.
Yeah. Can we figure out Nikola Tesla's middle name and start another zero-emission vehicle startup real quick? Yeah,
And I'll
I
just
hope
have
you're
renders.
right.
We won't
I
even
want
have a physical product.
Exactly. No, you don't need that anymore to go public. You just need Photoshop to make a publicly traded company. I want, like, I feel like to please people, they almost have to announce something on Battery Day that's being implemented as we speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Something
Like, they
small.
kind of have to, because there's so many people right now that are like, I want one, but I'm going to wait for Battery Day, or I'm going to hold off my delivery until Battery Day. It's like, there's so much leading up to it. There's so much hype for it that there has to be something. It doesn't necessarily have, like, what would be something small enough, you think?
I think it would be something that would be
Like
flipped
no
with a
cobalt
software
or something?
switch. I mean, I think
Oh,
probably like 10 or 30 miles of extra range on a certain number of vehicles. Probably S and X, not
And they
3.
update it that day on the website?
Yeah, they updated that day on the website, and cars ordered from like a month ago just automatically, just magically, just start having
Gotcha.
that range. And that improvement would likely come from about 50% of whatever they're announcing on the 50% of stuff they've probably already figured out. Like if you take everything at Battery Investor Day, there's probably a solid 50% they have a pretty good idea, and that's what they've been ramping up
Sure.
at that new factory, getting those ready to spit out. And so, anyway, I don't know. It's all speculation.
Would you
We'll see.
expect do you think we'll get a Model S Plaid unveil? Or is that
I mean,
for
it's
a
kind of
different
already
day?
been unveiled, right? Like the Cybertruck was fun because like we had zero clue what it looks like, but like we've seen the Model S Plaid at Nuremberg.
Yeah, but that wasn't, I mean, it wasn't production
was
model. It was like
prototype.
they had attachments and they
Yeah.
had weird looking spoilers and fenders and stuff.
I don't.
So
I
it
don't
wasn't
think we're. I
official.
don't think we're in for a fundamental redesign at Battery Day. Like the focus is on the batteries. They'd have a whole separate
Sure.
Model S redesign event if they were redesigning the Model S.
You don't think they would want to unveil that at an annual shareholder meeting or a Battery Day? You think it'd get a separate thing?
I think it would get it. That's big enough news. I mean, each event that you have, you're pretty much going to dominate the news cycle for a day, right? Like when Apple has their iPhone event, they're going to dominate the event for a day.
Yeah.
But when they split up their event into a bunch of different website refreshes, they get to dominate like a week's worth of days throughout the month. And so I'd imagine Tesla would be smart enough to say, hey, we're already going to dominate the news cycle with Battery Day, and whatever we announce on Battery Day, why don't we just wait a couple weeks or months or years to announce the Tesla Model S redesign, which probably would get a lot more attention than just some dusty old Battery Day. Because you have to be pretty techie to understand why Battery Day is special and important. And I don't think your average person would be super thrilled about Battery Day. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
But getting excited about a new product that you can see and have test drives in, that's much more exciting.
Well, Elon tweeted this photo of a guy dressed in plaid, and he said, I'm going to wear this outfit soon. So a lot of people are wondering if that's a little
See, I haven't been on Twitter.
nod
Let
to
me
something. Or
look up Elon's
Oh, it's not
tweeters.
recent.
Oh, it isn't?
That was weeks ago. But I just mean there's a lot of people suspecting that there's some type of product unveiling there because Elon said
I will
earlier
be
this year
pleasantly
that-
wrong. I will be happily wrong
Okay.
if Elon rolls out in a brand new Model S that's totally redesigned, that has Falcon doors and
It may not be. No, I mean it may not be as major as you're imagining. If it's a minor refresh, I think it might make more sense to do it at a Battery Day. If it's not like drastically different looking, it's just a few minor tweaks here and there, and it's got a new battery and powertrain. So they wanted to show it off, but we're waiting for a time where lots of people were together to do it. There's been references to internal projects to redesign the Model S that Electric has reported on, so I don't know. They have a pretty decent track record on those types of leaks. I mean, they got the
Yeah.
Giga Texas thing right way in advance. So
That's true. That was pretty.
it could be true. But the two next products I expect by the end of the year are the rear-wheel drive Model Y and the Model S Plaid.
Yeah.
I think those are the last two.
Those can, for sure, the rear-wheel drive Model Y can be a site refresh, and
that doesn't need an event.
The Model S, though, I don't think it's coming this year. I mean, again, I'll be happily wrong, but just the production pipeline of it, like before they can get Model S, but I would imagine before they want to spend the time redesigning the factory, redesigning processes to update Model S, because anyone can make one car that looks beautiful in a design studio, but to mass produce it, you have to change the whole factory, basically. The whole factory line, assembly line, people have to be retrained, new processes have to be, it's a huge project to push a new product on an assembly line, especially at a car's scale. Right now, Fremont is where they make the S, X3, and Y. Like, it's a busy factory. And some batteries, too. Like, they're very busy there at Fremont. And once Giga Texas is open and fully functioning, of course, the Cybertruck's going to start production there, but there's going to be some extra capacity, whether that's through some new buildings or maybe another line inside the same building that they're making. That'll probably handle a lot of Model Y and Model 3 stuff, and so that will offload a lot of the demand on the Fremont factory to be able to produce so much. And so once they lighten the demand of the Fremont factory, is my guess is once the Fremont factory has some extra capacity to slow down and change assembly lines, that's when we'll see the updated Model S, which I don't think will be this year.
So you think they're... Because originally he said it's going into production end of 2020. You think
we might get the Plaid, but it won't be redesigned.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be redesigned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think the way I see it is they're not going to be producing the old Model S anymore. So it doesn't
the old Model
really
S
matter
is in
because
the current one?
Yeah, the current Model S doesn't need to stick around if they're redesigning the Model S. So I don't see why that assembly line can't just shut down and revamp and retrain those people, because they'll just be dedicated to Plaid now and go from there.
Well, as we've seen with any production ramp, it takes at minimum a year to ramp production. With Model Y was the shortest they've done it.
Yeah, but they don't have to ramp it and unveil it at the same time.
So you're saying stop selling Model S's, and then mysteriously for 6 months no one can buy a Model S, and then Elon gets on stage and says,
"No,
guess what?
I'm saying we could see the Plaid Model S unveiled this year. That doesn't mean they're ramping it this year.
Okay,
They're
so
just going to
like
show
a
it off
Cybertruck
and say this is coming."
Yeah, no, I
Like
mean,
any
I can see that.
product unveiled.
That's what I meant. Like, you can make anything in a design studio once. So, yeah, they might show off the redesigned Model S, but I don't think it's going to be coming on sale until Cyber Texas Cyber Texas. I said it exactly backwards.
I could still see it happening next year, because I don't honestly. The Model S uses different batteries from the 3 and Y. It's a different assembly line from the 3 and Y. So I think
if they're going to redesign it, why wouldn't they bring it onto the same batteries and the same like?
Well, they're leapfrogging the 3 and Y. That's what a lot of people think the factory on Cato Road is for, is these next generation cells. But the factories there aren't big enough to supply batteries for the 3 and Y, but they're big enough to do some type of low volume vehicle, which is why a lot think that the new Tesla designed cell is going to be put into the Model S Plaid initially, because they're obviously building up a factory on that Cato Road.
Yeah.
It's just the question is, what is it for? What are those batteries going to be used for? Because they're not huge, but they're also not tiny.
Yeah.
You know, some type of mass production.
I think that'll be the initial run.
Hundreds of employees.
Yeah, I don't know, because it does make sense, I guess, for the first run of the 1,000,000-mile battery packs to be S and X.
Sure.
Because,
low volume.
Yeah, low volume,
high price.
But I just don't. I guess I don't know how much capacity there is in Fremont right now. Like, me looking looking in, like, it looks like they're pretty swamped. I mean, between the Model S line, the Model X line, the Model 3 line, and the Model Y line. Okay, of course, Giga Shanghai is taking off a lot of the Asian demand, because it used to be Fremont had to make cars for the entire world. So now maybe they're not making quite as many 3s and Ys. Giga Berlin's going to be coming online, and once that comes online, maybe that's going to even further reduce 3 and Y line demands. But I don't think that's enough. I think U.S. 3 and Y production has to be moved to Texas before they can, like... I guess it depends on what do we mean by a fundamental redesign. Like, I'm thinking every nut and bolt is different. Like, not even the chassis is the same. Different chassis, different battery pack, different motors, different interior, different
I'm guessing
body
it'll
paneling.
still be recognizable. I'm guessing it'll still look like a Model S.
It'll still be a large not SUV, sedan. It'll be a large sedan from Tesla.
I mean,
a luxury sedan.
I mean, also consider they've updated the Model S several times already. I mean, with the front grille, and they have updated the motors. They improved with the Model 3 powertrain, and they changed the battery pack size. Like, they, in my opinion, you're right, Fremont is super busy with the 3 and Y scaling, but I don't think that necessarily impacts Model S, because it's just using totally different internals, and it's probably a whole separate section of the factory with people that aren't even talking to the people building the 3 and Y. So I think, they've done aesthetic changes and internal changes to the Model S a lot. That's what Tesla likes to do, is those incremental updates throughout the year. Like, they just updated the Model S and X to support 250 kilowatt charging by using different wiring on the inside. So that's just one of those little incremental changes. Now, this one's a lot bigger, but I think that's probably the best guess for what the Cato Road facility is low volume. Probably the Roadster would make sense to put the new cell in.
Yeah. I mean, those are practically, they have the margin to be hand-built. I mean, 250,000.
Roadster probably
$400,000
would be hand-built.
Roadster.
Yeah.
Those could be hand-built. I mean, not hand-built, but not as much of a streamlined manufacturing line, more of a,
They don't need a rear unibody stamping press.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they're pumping them out,
They can pay Gary to sit there with a hammer and anvil and make it the right shape.
You'll have a real passionate group of engineers that put them all together and make sure those panel gaps are razor thin.
No.
Oh, I'm so excited for the Roadster to come out, and I don't even plan on owning one or looking at one. I'm just excited to see the YouTube video.
Exactly. I want to see Marcus's auto.
Oh yeah,
autofocus,
and so many YouTubers are going to be talking about them, and that's just going to dominate the news for so long. I think when the Roadster comes out, the videos people make, and Andy getting 2 of them, that kind of stuff.
Well,
it's going to be
Drew?
fun.
You don't have 2 Roadsters just sitting in your Tesla thing because you're a popular YouTuber. That's how that works, right?
I don't think a Roadster would survive my driveway. I think it would fall apart on the way in. They should put like PPF coating on the Roadster from the factory.
They
shouldn't just
paint protection. Yeah.
Paint protection film. Yeah, they shouldn't just let it out with nothing and just raw paint. And I hope they can implement the new paint shop that they're talking about at Giga Berlin for the Roadster by the time it comes out.
No, what they're going to do, they're going to take the Roadster body panels once they're done from the what road? You know the name of the road, the
Cato
Road, the Cato Road facility. They take the body panels, put them on an airplane, and fly them all the way over to Berlin, stick them through the paint shop in Berlin, and fly them back to Giga Shanghai so that they can get the powertrain, and then fly them back to Cato for Franz to lob a steel ball through the window just to make sure that it's all.
He'll lob a steel ball. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm very excited for the pipeline. They've got so much in the pipeline, and it's really, really exciting to me to see all the factories going up at a really, really fast rate. I'm glad Giga Texas is moving quickly. And do you think that they'll eventually phase out the 3 and Y from Fremont if Giga Texas is going to be huge?
I think Elon's kind of said he wants to do that when the whole shutdown thing was happening, and he was upset. He said
they wanted to leave California, but
move Tesla out of California, and I think he's since reneged on that a little bit. But I think
he said we'll probably stay there for now.
The animosity is still in the back of his head as far as like, we need to get out. at some point.
He's
Maybe
still
not right now,
annoyed.
but at some point.
So they did say SX and Roadster would be in Fremont. Like they have no plans on moving that.
For now. Yeah. Elon's never a sunk cost fallacy guy. So as soon as a better, faster, cheaper option is available in Texas.
I think Fremont should stick around.
Do you think they're ever going to close Fremont? Like in 10 years? Because Fremont was already an
during
old
the
factory.
shutdowns, he probably wanted to. But now I don't see why you would want to build the Roadster in Texas. It just doesn't. The Roadster is a California car. Like that's like the convertible, the performance, the design and everything. Like it just makes sense to me that you wouldn't build that type of luxury sports car out in Austin, you know. That like Cybertruck,
Austin's
I get it.
Pretty
That's
happening.
The market it serves. Austin's what?
Pretty happening place. I mean,
you
don't have to make a car in the market. I mean, look at the big automakers. I mean, people in Detroit, sure, they bought cars that they made, but like lots of cars were made in Detroit. Like, I can't.
Sure, but if Tesla's building tons of factories and they want to be close to the market they're serving with Shanghai and Berlin and
if there's scale,
West
yes,
being
that makes
pickup
sense.
Truck buyers.
But we're looking at maybe totality 50,000 units over the entire course of history of these Roadster 2 units.
Sure,
they can probably pay to have those shipped with the higher margins. As long as it's cheaper to produce.
I know
because it's going to be cheaper.
I know Model S and X isn't like their bread and butter. So is it? I mean, there's probably a certain cost on the balance sheet where it doesn't make sense. Would it be logical to build up a brand new Model S and X assembly line in Texas versus just keep the one we already have that we're using? At a certain point, it might make more financial sense.
When Model 3 and Model Y production in Texas expand and they have, maybe a few vacant lines in Texas that are old Model 3 and Model Y lines, they can transform those into Model S and Model X lines. Because at the end of the day, California is a very expensive state to operate in. Like, you know this, you live there.
They're the biggest.
But they're also the biggest market.
Factory and
yeah. But they're also the biggest market. So there's a lot of reasons for that companies decide to be in California. But with remote working and, everyone being virtual and kind of the democratization of cities in 2020 that we've seen, I definitely would imagine that it would be pretty easy to convince most of the engineering / whatever departments to start working from Austin. Whether or not they're physically in Austin is up to them. But at least able to adjust the pay there, because Austin's still pretty expensive, but it's not near as expensive as the Bay Area as far as your wages, right? No. It's like your average factory worker in the Bay Area. I don't know what the average wage is in the Bay Area, but probably like $25 an hour or something would be my guess. And in Texas, you're probably looking at $15 an hour. I don't know those numbers to be true, but that's a guesstimation from Nick's point of view.
Well, just the corporate tax alone is
and the corporate tax. I mean, then there's the governmental tax. I was just talking about just what locality you're working in. So paying your engineers less, but allowing them to work from wherever, and paying your line workers less because it's in a cheaper area. I think those savings would outweigh the cost of moving the final product to the market. Now there might be some kind of state import tariff. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know auto tax very well. But there might be some drawbacks to doing that I don't know about. But I would imagine it would make a lot of sense for them to build, at some point, Model S, Model X, and Roadster in Texas or in other Midwest states that are cheaper labor force, more property for cheaper amounts, a lot of financial benefits, and then shipping those vehicles to their end sell points, which totally LA is going to have the highest density of Roadsters in the entire country. I guarantee you that.
That's my point.
But
I feel like that's where most of them are going.
The cost of moving 20,000 Roadsters from Texas to California is likely less than paying a bunch of assembly line workers twice as much.
Maybe. I don't know if that's the highest cost of operation is just
direct
the
labor is probably
employees.
between 50 and 70% of their costs of assembling line
You mean
work
compared
stuff.
to like the parts and the components and stuff?
Yeah, so out of all of the costs of the Tesla, so they sell it for $40,000, Model 3, $40,000. It probably cost them like $28,000-$30,000 to make it, right? Somewhere in there. Out of those $28,000-$30,000 costs, I think about 50% would be assembly costs, the cost of line workers physically clipping in parts, because most of those parts are from China, right? You see Sandy Monroe's videos. He's like, oh yeah, this is a 5-cent part, and he's holding like this complex looking molded plastic thing that you would buy at the repair shop for $300 or something. But the parts themselves are fairly inexpensive. The battery packs, yeah, that's $10,000 with the drivetrain and stuff. So I think that's fairly expensive. But the little cables and finishing touches, and that's all probably, yeah. I'd say about a 50% cost.
I just don't think they would put that much work into such low volume vehicles. Like Giga Shanghai isn't worried about building the Model S and X, even though there's a lot of people that drive them there. And like they would have extremely lower cost of maintenance if they built them there, but they don't. And also, like, why build up the battery facilities on Cato Road if you were planning on leaving down the in a few years? I don't know. They might, but I personally think
This is all
Elon's
speculation.
logic is going to be, yeah, it is, of course. But my guess is Elon's logic is going to be, we need to build as many EVs as possible, and to do that, we need as many factories as possible. So they're not really interested in
I'm talking
shutting
in like
down
10 years.
much.
This was all predicated on like 10 years down the road, because
Yeah,
Fremont
even
factory's
then,
already
I
like
think.
80 years old or something. Like it used to be like an old Ford plant or something, right? Like, or GM or
They
something.
bought it from Toyota or someone. Yeah, they bought it from a legacy maker. But yeah, I don't think they're in the they're that interested, especially if they're adding to Fremont right now. They're adding assembly lines, and even in the 5 to 10 year realm, I don't think they're that interested in closing stuff down that they've already built up and kind of developed an infrastructure for. I mean, they could move their corporate offices and decide that's not like Tesla home, that's not the center of the business.
Well, they'd
they
still
could
have
move
a
to
business
Texas,
nexus in California, which would result in California state income taxes.
well, yeah, but I just mean Elon might not spend much time there.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Texas would be their home base, because that's going to be the biggest one. That's going to be the one with the public access, and that's going to be where they build likely their most popular vehicles, 3Y Cybertruck. But it's likely in their best interest to for the West Coast to have Model Ys and 3s built near them instead of just building them central U.S.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
That's my guess.
I think
We'll see.
I'm coming at it from a very financial perspective, right? I'm looking at the numbers and saying, hey, it's cheaper to do it here. But I don't think Elon is, at the end of the day, is really worried about money. He's more worried about doing things faster. Like if there's two options, one is going to be 10% quicker and cost 10% more, and the other one's going to be 10% slower and cost 10% less. He's going to take the quicker one every day of the week. And so I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but to me, moving it all to Texas or some other Midwest rural place sounds smart, I guess, from a financial perspective, but I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, they want to put he mentioned on one of his later podcasts that he wanted to put eventually a Gigafactory on the East Coast, northern East Coast. So
Yeah. Well, they
I don't
have
think
one in Buffalo,
Giga
right?
Texas isn't the last.
New York making solar panels.
Well, that's that was the Solar City facility, but initially that's where they build all the solar and stuff. But yeah, they wanted to build like a vehicle plant out in the northeast at some point. So I think there's going to be tons and tons of gigafactories over the next 10 years.
We just need to have a gigafactory every 6 miles.
We need a factory that produces gigafactories.
Yep.
It just pumps them out.
What was that story about
in scale?
don't recall, but there's like some story about an AI going awry, and like the purpose of the AI was to like make Kleenexes or something, and like the AI takes over the world, and what does it do? It turns the entire world into Kleenexes because that's what it was programmed to do. So we need to do that with Tesla Cybertruck or Gigafactory. We need just all of the
just nonstop Gigafactories. Yeah,
but okay.
It's cool how they keep getting bigger too.
Yeah, this just all this talk about moving things to Austin has really just made me worried about the Cybertruck, Drew. Just very, very worried about the Cybertruck.
I was waiting. When was that line coming up?
55 minutes in.
What are you worried about? Are you genuinely worried, or is it just the meme?
Just an overall memery worried level.
Okay.
As far as specifics, I'm worried that I'm not going to be around when it comes out. I don't think I'm going to survive 2020.
Nick, if you don't survive, the Cybertruck's not coming out. You're out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh.
It's a do or don't situation.
Well, if the asteroids don't get me first.
Man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him testing on city streets too.
That's going to be so much fun. I'm totally going to follow. The first one I see, I'm flipping a Yui on a divided highway, and I don't care what I have to do.
Crash right into it.
So this will stand as in my court case in 3 years when I get arrested for doing crazy things in my car because I was chasing a Cybertruck. I just want to tell that judge, hey, I'm joking right now, so please don't send me to jail for life for whatever my future crimes.
Everything I've ever said is a joke, by the way, just for legal reasons.
For legal purposes.
What do you think insurance will be like on the Cybertruck? Do you think it'll be pretty high?
It's going to be pretty high to begin with, but just like the Model 3, they're going to figure out it's actually pretty cheap, and the prices will come down significantly. People complained when the Model 3 came out. It's like, oh my gosh, it's as much as my Lexus or whatever, but the maintenance is nothing, and it's so safe, and it never gets it hardly ever gets into an accident, and blah blah blah. So
it's more of a concern for people making the Tesla stretch, as they call it. People who are buying a car more expensive than they normally would because it's a Tesla.
Yeah,
it's usually their maintenance savings. Yeah, us. What the hosts of these
you're
show.
talking about that group of people like oh yeah, those other people who just buy cars that are a stretch for them.
All of us. I mean, them and me included.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I get the Tesla stretch because typically for people doing that, their cost of ownership savings are eaten up by the insurance savings. So for someone like me, a Tesla, even factoring in oil changes and gas and brake pads, it's actually really not much cheaper cost of ownership simply because of how much the insurance costs.
Don't do full liability insurance, just do collision insurance.
No, I mean even the bare bones minimum insurance plan.
Wow.
We've looked at the numbers. They're not compared to how much it's just simple basic facts that the cost to insure my little Sonata is pennies compared to what it would cost and how easy it is for a Tesla to get damaged and require thousands of dollars worth of work.
So I'm talking about just collision insurance. So that's damage that you cause other people and not having any insurance on your vehicle.
I knew exactly what you said.
Really?
I'm still telling you it costs more because that's what we have now on our Sonata.
Just collision insurance? Yeah, I mean it's not worth anything. So I mean, okay, it's worth something. My car is also worth something, but nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bare bones. If you got the cheapest possible Model 3 with the cheapest possible insurance, it ends up costing about how much we spend on our Sonata monthly with gas and oil.
Right now, I have full coverage. I have full coverage with my, Escape. I looked it up on Kelley Blue Book. I've been saying it's worth $1,700, but Kelley Blue Book says it's like $4,300 or something, and I'm like, I don't think I could sell it for that much, but okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust them.
But so somewhere in there, I have full collision, and that's like $100 a month. So maybe I should look into reducing that because I don't think I could afford to replace
your whole insurance is $100 a month.
Yeah, for my car.
So for us, insurance is like $35 a month.
Yeah. And if I were to go down to just collision insurance, I'm sure it would go down to like 30 or something, under 50.
And with the Model 3, it's basically impossible to get insurance that low.
Yeah.
Even through Tesla, they can't hit at that price. It's a fact that there's so much in that car, and it's not.
But with
super
collision
cheap
insurance,
to
they're not
repair.
insuring anything in that car. They're not insuring anything about the car.
They kind of are.
They're just insuring what
they're wondering
you do to
how
other
much
people.
it's going to cost. Yeah, but what I do to other people might impact my car. There's a little bit of, if I run into someone, the Model 3 isn't perfect condition.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of concern there.
Okay, I still think we're confused about collision insurance. When I say collision insurance, I mean you get in a totaled wreck. Your car is mangled. You mangled the other car. They're just both trashed. You can't drive them. What collision insurance, in my mind, does is it pays to restore the other person's car. You caused the wreck in this not you specifically, but it pays for the other person's car to bring them back up to full restitution.
Oh,
and
I got you.
not
I know
yours.
what you're saying. I'm sorry.
So you're left with
I'm an idiot.
Okay. No, I just want to
I
make
know
sure.
exactly what you're saying now.
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think what we looked up is that it's not. I haven't found anyone that can only get collision insurance on their Tesla.
That's what I was about to say. I don't think I would want only collision insurance because right now my car is worth maybe $4,000.
What you want.
It's like you have to be able to replace it out of pocket and have it not be a huge, world-ending deal if you do wreck it when you don't get collision.
Tesla doesn't do that. Yeah. Is my point.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have kind of the cheapest insurance for the Tesla. And I actually, from what I've read, I haven't found anyone that's even through Progressive or Geico been able to do just collision insurance.
Just call
on
Flo,
a Tesla.
the friendly Progressive lady. And
just call Flo, yeah. I wish they would. Although you would be in big trouble if you did get in a crash because cost of repairing
Teslas are. That's why the insurance is so expensive for a
very
Tesla.
expensive.
But with Cybertruck,
and hopefully it can go down.
It's a tank. I mean, you'd need some pretty heavy collision insurance. So you'd get out with a scratch, and the other person might be totaled.
Maybe your collision insurance will be higher because the Cybertruck will be prone to destroying
pickup trucks
what
are
it
more
runs
expensive.
into.
Yeah, and it goes on the.
So on one hand, it's super durable, and you don't have to worry about paint, chips, and that kind of thing.
And even bumps and scratches, it's not like they can replace a body panel. It's a unibody design, so...
Right, it's a unibody. So do you think...
They can try to undent it.
Do you think that would make it easier to total in the event of a high-speed collision and the exoskeleton is damaged? Now we have to replace the whole unibody? Or... Because I've gone down this rabbit hole.
I think you're right.
The Cybertruck subreddit. People were saying that actually this type of steel can be very easy to weld on, and just because it's a unibody doesn't necessarily mean that you can't replace individual parts of it. Because it's very easy to work with. It's just stainless steel, which means that it's different type of repair compared to a normal car, but it might be somewhat cheap. Simple, but
I don't know. It all depends on how easy it is to repair. So initially, when you asked how expensive would it be to fix a totaled Cybertruck if you wanted to, initially I was like, yeah, that's going to be really expensive because imagine like a MacBook, it's a unibody too. So if you do a damaged dent on one side, you got to fix the other side too. Like you got to get a whole new case.
I like how you justify Tesla, like. In almost every category during the show, you've been like, "This is like Apple."
Exactly. It's almost we should start
this
an
reminds
Apple.
Me of Apple.
We should start an Apple-focused podcast. I think there'd be a lot of material there.
That's a good idea.
We should now because Randy's not here. We can just cut him out of that deal and just do a podcast about Apple and not tell him about it.
Yeah. Anyway, damaging the unibody.
But now that you're saying, well, that does make sense. It is. It's not a specialized tool to work with stainless steel, right? Stainless steel is not a specialized material. It's not like working with a ceramic or whatever. You can get out a welder and some steel wool, and I'm sure someone could do a pretty good job. And
also, there's not very specific shapes and body designs to the truck, which means that if you had a dent on a flat side, you can just, well, it might be a different alloy. I don't know if Tesla will let you buy the original Cybertruck alloy, but it would be fairly simple in my mind to just be like, okay, we're going to remove this chunk and replace it with a flat piece of steel. And it would blend in somewhat. If anything, it might look kind of cool.
Yeah.
Have a Mad Max style, like, patches all over the design.
At some point, it would kind of start feeling like the Millennium Falcon. Just kind of like hodgepodge, but like once elegant. Well, it once was elegant, but like now it's more utilitarian.
Of the design.
Yeah, it just gets better with time.
Even if you scratched it and banged up, it would kind of just look more.
And what Star Wars movie did they not rip off the antenna on the top of the Millennium Falcon?
Oh yeah, they always rip off.
Yeah,
for sure. But I guess what the Reddit rabbit hole I fell down with Cybertruck repairability was
they
people
just
saying
rename Reddit rabbit. Rabbit hole.
There were people saying, yeah. Check my subreddit. There was it depends on how they attach things to the exoskeleton.
Okay.
Because if you're attaching interior and batteries and the internal components to the exoskeleton, then that means if one part of it dents or breaks, it's not just as simple as pull that part off. Because like Tesla talked about, the car is kind of built around that skeleton, unlike traditional cars, which are body on frame. If the exoskeleton is both, then if a part of the truck is dented or damaged and it's a load-bearing kind of structural integrity to the internals, it's not going to be that easy to just be like, oh, pull it off. It's like, well, if you pull it off, then the seats or the cabin or the battery are going to fall out. That's like, how it holds itself in.
It's like a Jenga tower with like a whole bunch of things missing. It's like you just pull out one little thing, it's all just going to fall apart.
Right. It might not be super simple to just pull out one part because then everything will fall off.
That was the one part that kept the whole car together.
You just pull off the frunk and then the battery falls out. Yeah. I don't know. But that's one thing about the Cybertruck we still don't know is like the load-bearing sections and where Tesla attaches certain internal components.
I think they're still figuring that out. From what
they don't
Randy
know.
was saying about what the prototype looks like in person, like he said, it looks very fake. Like, you know, it's obviously not seamless, and you know, there's black stuff black material underneath the panels and stuff. So they're probably still all figuring that out. But yeah, I don't know. Cybertruck.
I'm very curious to see the first insurance quotes for the Cybertruck.
I know.
Seeing Geico be like,
So I'm sorry. What is this? Oh, it's a Tesla.
What?
Oh. Wait, what?
Well, on one hand, it's a tank. On the other hand, if it breaks, it's probably fairly like.
Well,
if one part of it dents,
you can't go to an auto body shop to fix your Cybertruck. You got to go to like a welder or like a I don't know, people who make like I-beams and stuff.
Right. More people who are accustomed to working with steel, not body panel work, because it's not going to be that easy to just pour boiling water over it and hit it with a hammer from the inside. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. But I guess all expensive cars are expensive to insure at first, and then over time they figure out what it's like to repair But
and I think Model 3's gone down quite a bit, right? Do you know any of that on the top of your head?
I've done a lot of Model 3 insurance research, and I've yet to see anyone get it under $100 a month.
Wow.
It's pretty much best case scenario, you're still looking at 110, 120. That's through Tesla or even through, I bet if we asked Randy, it would be something like that. Yeah. And he has a special military bank, so he gets some good benefits with that. But it hasn't reached.
They served our country. Why are they getting the good deals?
How dare they?
I'm kidding.
They've only risked their life for us. Yeah, that's sarcasm. But I haven't seen them get Sonata cheap. But I'm sure it's much cheaper.
Drew, there's a reason why it isn't.
I'm sure it's much cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper now than it was in 2017 when it first came out, I'm sure. But I would love to see it go further, because I'm a very safe driver. I've never caused an accident, and I hate having to insure things that I don't. I'm not that worried about what I do, but I've been hit by lots of people.
Why are you just letting them hit you, Drew? You should learn like karate or something to, save yourself.
There was this stupid light that was red, so I decided it was safe to stop. And then the guy behind me didn't see that light, I guess. But
he should have a Tesla.
Same with my wife.
Because the Tesla would, pick that up.
Well, I think that's where I was getting confused earlier, because the part of insurance that you have to get with a Tesla is like if something happens to you, essentially. And the other guy doesn't have insurance, which around here at least is pretty common. Which means that the insurance you're paying for is like, it doesn't matter if it was your fault, someone still damaged your vehicle, and now you want it to get fixed. Well, we call it uninsured motorists, at least, because I've been hit. I've been hit once, and my wife was hit once by someone who didn't have insurance. Wow. So now it's like,
well, it's illegal to have a driver's license without insurance. Oh, yeah. Illegal to own a vehicle. Sorry, you can have a driver's license without insurance, but you can't own a vehicle without insurance.
It's very illegal, but sadly, it happens. And
you mean people? Done, so there are some people in the world that don't follow laws?
Yeah. It's sad, but the truth is I would not want to have a Tesla with insurance where someone else could hit me and I just have to pay for it out of pocket.
Yeah.
Or if it's a hit and run. Yeah. That's what happened to my wife a few years back. Someone hit her and then he just took off. So
wow.
Maybe he was insured, but I doubt it. If he took off, fled the scene, didn't want to exchange information or anything like that. And
gross misdemeanor, like a low-level felony or something.
Oh, yeah.
Hit and run. That's pretty serious.
It's sad, but it happens.
Yeah,
so the insurance you get for your car kind of has to account for that, of like, what if someone hits you and they can't cover it? But the guy who hit me was back when I had the Ford Ranger day, and
it just bounced off.
He was on his phone. He was using an iPhone 6S, which I had a 6 Plus at the time. So I remember thinking, he doesn't have insurance, but he has a nicer phone than me. And
well, we know where
he
the
ran
insurance
into
money
me
went.
and was he was completely sick. He couldn't talk. He was like incapacitated, and he went to the hospital, and we never got to track him down. So the ambulance obviously was more concerned with his health, so obviously I didn't get much info off of him. But the insurance I had covered. Yeah, everyone showed up, but they never got never got words out of him or anything. So he was just off to the hospital.
Well, they know where he is in the hospital.
Well, I just mean they never got back to me. They never let us know what he said, and our insurance, because we had uninsured motorists, covered the damages, which on the Ford Ranger was about $10. So, it's not an expensive car to insure. Yeah, they were like, "There, it's fine.
There's a Band-Aid."
But that truck broke down about 6 months after for unrelated reasons.
Oh, you should have made sure those were related to get that covered.
We would have saved $100 maybe. But I don't mind. The truck's gone now. It's scrap. But
sadness.
If I was driving a Tesla, I would want to make sure that if someone else hit me,
yeah, that's a good question. At first I'm like, well, it's the tank. I don't really care. And just like with the Millennium Falcon, like there's some intrinsic beauty to having a story behind every dent and every tweak and every imperfection. Sure. And I do like that. And
it's timeless.
Exactly. It's not like a tech product and a shiny, Model 3 that needs
super nice the first day.
Exactly. Like Randy's car, it's almost as perfect as it was the day it left the shop, because the parking lot, because he has the wrap on it, and he's kept very good care of the wrap too, and it's very beautiful. But like, that's not the vision that I have for the Cybertruck. Like, my car it has, like, I don't know if the paint cracked or something, but on the roof of my little Ford, dirt has gotten inside like the paint of my roof, and so I was trying to hose it out with the pressure washer, and I peeled off some paint trying to get the dirt out of the paint. Anyway, yeah. I'm just like, well,
there's a lot of paint chips on my car too.
The car now looks pretty not great. And
used.
So,
very used.
It's used. And I love that about it, right? Because like that was my dream car. Like my current car was my dream car. Outside of any Tesla, it is still my dream car. Like I love my little car.
I didn't know that.
It's a great little car. Yeah.
I hate my little car.
Literally any Tesla is better. Like even a 2008 or an '08 Roadster is still better than my car in my opinion. But outside of Tesla, it's still my dream car. It's what I've always wanted, and I saved for and I bought it, and it was a very rewarding experience to save up for it and buy it. And now it's falling apart, but like I have a story for like the front bumper. I got in an accident with a fence post. So, and it was snowy, so I like slid. I was just sledding towards this fence post, and I busted the fence post and had to fix that. But the front bumper kind of came off. There's like some clips that came off. So my mechanic was like, yeah, well, Ford sells these little plastic pins for like $60. So we're just going to use zip ties. Is that all right? And I'm like, that's just fine for me. And so there's like total like quarter-inch, half-an-inch panel gap on one side of my bumper.
Jerry rig.
Exactly. Yep. And it's like, I love that about my car. Like, it's my car. It has a personality. I haven't named it yet. I'm still working on a name. 10 years in. But
10 years in. You got some time.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that day with the Cybertruck. Like, of course, having a pretty shiny tech product is fun. No one's going to deny that. Day one of an iPhone when you're peeling off the plastic and there's no fingerprints and no scratches, and it's just like, and it's just so pretty.
It's like Apple.
Mm-hmm. It's so pretty, just like Apple.
It's the new car.
It's the new car.
It's the new car stigma. There's even if you bought a stinky old gas car, not old, I guess, stinky new gas car. There's always a new car feel to it for the first week or month.
But once that rubs off, I'm kind of looking forward to the age, because I think with a Model 3 or Model Y, I'd be like, oh, now it's 3 years old. It has some dents and scratches, and it's like, ugh.
All these
maybe
bugs
I need to think about
front.
a new one. I don't know. I'm not really happy. But the Cybertruck, it's like there's some personality there, and I can see myself having that for a decade easily.
Timeless personality too.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Insurance will be interesting.
I'm still worried about the Cybertruck. We talked about it for 30 minutes, yet I'm still worried about it.
Well, I'm glad we got our insurance
I know,
straight.
Without the guy who used to work for an insurance company. I feel like we might have been able to wrestle up
perfect
a pretty
episode
good
to skip him out.
Randy, I missed you. Please come back.
How many episodes do we have before Battery Day?
I don't know. What is that, the 28th?
22nd.
22nd. Ooh.
So, one or two. This.
Should we do a special one?
Do you want to do an episode? Do you want to launch an episode right before Battery Day, or would you rather do a Battery Day special podcast?
I think we're going to keep our audience in suspense and talk about it off the air, because
let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely going to work into my consideration of my work schedule. What your opinions are?
Because the September 21st EV podcast would just age horribly in so many ways.
Age really horribly.
Or the day before. Anyway, thank you all for watching.
All right.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, Randy.